Bibliophiles of the internet, my name's Adriana, and today I'm here to do the BooktubeBooker book tag. This was originally put forth into the universe by David over at the Poptimist, and I will link his video down below because of course he summarizes it best. This tag is basically an attempt to create a barometer for the reading year of 2018 according to books that were actually read and loved by Booktube itself. It was created in response to popular literary prizes which don't always reflect the interests of Booktube. There's a disparity there, and this tag attempts to fill in that gap. That said, the responses to the following superlative prompts work best for the data if they are 2018 releases. Now, I tend to be a little bit behind the publishing curve, so some of these titles may not be the first thing that came to mind, but they're definitely still favorites. Diving right in with the literal hardest prompt, favorite fiction book of the year. First of all, fiction covers so many genres, and I could have so many responses to this, but I think we all know that my heart and soul belongs to Joseph Quesada's The House of Impossible Beauties. This book just completely blindsided me with its brilliance. I was not prepared to encounter such a thoughtful narrative that honestly confronts the realities of being Latinx and queer in 1980s New York without presenting itself as tragedy porn and without being gratuitous. For me, this book walks that perfect line between realistically addressing oppression and marginalization while also painting broad strokes of hope, strength, and resilience. And to me, that is the resounding truth, that these balls and houses were created for the brown queer community as pockets of safety and love and upliftance. The existence of those things did not negate the community's circumstances, but rather gave them a purpose to unapologetically be themselves. This is such a quietly intimate human story that shows characters beyond the glitz and glamour, beyond the performative ways people expect queerness to be expressed. It just really captures the essence of these incredible queens who paved the way for how we continue to understand and navigate queerness. And as a queer Latinx person, it just makes me feel so connected and so right. Next is favorite nonfiction book. I've only read one nonfiction book in 2018, but it would have been my choice regardless. That is I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austin Channing Brown. Not only does Austin Channing Brown explore how casual racism has evolved to manifest in the modern workplace, but she makes a compelling call to action by showing why now is the time to center Blackness. We often default to performing labor that explains that white privilege and white fragility and white saviors and white tears are things that exist when we should be putting our energy into ensuring that Black leaders and institutions are given the opportunities and resources and power to exact change. I think she framed it best when she talked about how her mom always said that in the era of segregation, people should have fought not to assimilate Black students into white schools, but to ensure that Black schools would receive the same funding and resources as anyone else. If that had been the framework, the negative stigma of Black schools and maybe even Blackness itself might not be what it was and still is. I think that allegory really sums up how the real issues that people of color and specifically Black people continue to face are a matter of reallocating and redistributing power so that the people already doing this work can actually exact meaningful change. Next up is favorite debut novel of 2018. I gotta hand it to the romance genre with this one because romance has been crushing it. It's a tie between Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn and The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. First of all, I made a 5 reasons to read video for both of these books because I am super passionate about good representation and good books, and y'all definitely need to read these. Let's Talk About Love is the literal fluffiest romance centering an asexual, biromantic Black female character, and I just feel like it healed wounds I did not know I had. It filled a void for something I never knew I needed so badly in my life. To see an ace character find her way into this loving, healthy romantic relationship where she is not only accepted, but respected and understood in an extremely profound way, like I don't even have words enough to express how that feels. When Alice realizes that Takumi loves her the way she is and that he's not going to make her negotiate any part of her personhood to be in this relationship, I actually shed tears. And Helen Huang's The Kiss Quotient was just a knockout for Own Voice's autism rep. especially in a culture of media that continues to do those on the autism spectrum dirty with half-assed representation that frames people with autism as awkward, walking punchlines on display for everyone else's entertainment. This debut is the antithesis to that, and it just shines. Even though the autism spectrum is not monolithic, it was refreshing to see a character with autism who is independent, who is successful, who is in a positive sexual relationship, and who is realizing that she is worthy of love. I read this book, it made me feel so many things, and Helen Huang definitely stands out as a debut voice. Next is favorite poetry or short story collection. Tell me why I read a poetry collection a month and still only one was published in 2018. But since it was Don't Call Us Dead by Danez Smith, it's still definitely a standout choice. This is an honest exploration of the intersections between queerness and blackness and how people who live in that intersection should not have to negotiate away an ounce of their identity in order to exist. There is anger, there is disappointment, there is hunger, there is exhaustion, and Danez Smith weaves together a lot of surprising ideas to express the extent of that. I think what I like most about this collection is that it really disarms the reader and then forces you to sit in that discomfort, which is so important. Next is favorite graphic novel / comic / comic series. In a you can pry it from my cold, dead hands tie, it's The Adventure Zone, Here There Be Gerblins, and Fence. You know, I'm just all about the Adventure Zone these days. I am almost caught up with the podcast, and this graphic novel adaptation was the perfect addition to solidify my love for the show, and specifically the balance arc. I've talked a bit about how important it is for me that the McElroys are so conscious about crafting these worlds that are made from a lens of positivity and love and hope, just because those are the absolute strongest tenets of humanity itself. And it means everything, especially when it's so easy to default to the opposite. I've been so impressed with how they play these characters and how the story beautifully balances comedy and heart. Reading this comic was just an extension of that, and it's an experience I won't forget. Fence, on the other hand, kind of epitomizes 2018 because I have pre-ordered each and every single issue since the start, and towards the end of each month I just get to immerse myself in queer sports goodness. Honestly, having two of my favorite creators, C.S. Picat and Joanna the Mad, collaborate on this comic is the culmination of a dream I never knew I had, and it brings me so much fulfillment. As I said in my last haul, this comic is hilarious and vibrant and full of sexual tension you can cut with a knife, and it just infuses my life with joy and happiness like clockwork. Next is favorite book cover, which is tough because we all know there have been some great ones. Again, it's a tie because I refuse to choose between Front Desk by Kelly Yang and the soon-to-be-released How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin. The cover of Front Desk is so vibrant and joyful, and I love how it captures really great details that are integral to the story itself in its design, and it's just really great work. And How Long Till Black Future Month just gives me full body chills every time I see it because it just really captures the spirit of Afrofuturism as a movement. And every time I see a powerful cover that explicitly centers characters of color, I think about how hard people most likely fought for that behind the scenes. Every time we get that, it's a gift. And lastly is favorite author, and this takes into consideration their works, their social media presence, interviews they've done, articles or essays they've written, etc., etc. I know I kind of just touched on her, but her name bears repeating and mentioning 1,000 times over, and that is the incomparable N.K. Jemisin. To have her perspective and her voice contextualizing why she writes what she does, especially in this political and social climate, is the product of labor that we do not even deserve. It's really important to me that she doesn't shy away from difficult or taboo topics as they come up, how she understands that to exist is a deeply political act, and how she talks about how we deserve stories that embody, embrace, and acknowledge that. And it's been revelatory to see how honest she is about how complicated it's been to be both rejected and embraced by this SFF community that hasn't always acknowledged her place or believed that there was a market for her stories. It's obvious that her life very much informs her work, and her work informs her life, and it's just incredible to bear witness. So those are all my responses for the BooktubeBooker book tag. I may tag specific people on social media, but honestly, if you're part of this community in any capacity, you should really do this tag yourself. But that's everything I had for this tag video today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the flip side of the page. Bye!